Flosstube. My name is Becca and I am SamBrie Stitches here on Flosstube and Instagram. And this is another edition of Interview with a Flosstuber. Today I'm here with Denise. I'm super excited because many of you requested her. So we set up an interview. She is Black Ribbon Studio on Flosstube. I really enjoy her channel. She's very, very upbeat, very cheerful. Her projects are beautiful. They're unique projects, which is really cool. So I will put a link down below to her channel. So if you haven't checked her out, you can. But how are you doing today, Denise?
I am doing well. Thank you so much, Becca.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm glad that we were able to set it up. I think people are going to love the interview. So
yeah, I'm excited too.
All right, so let's get started with the first question, and it is, why did you start a Flosstube, and were there any particular motivations?
Actually, this is, I think, my favorite question, because before I started Flosstube, I was doing crochet podcasts on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I am a crocheter, and that's how I got started. But I've been a cross stitcher for many more years than that. So I had put it sort of on the back burner until I decided to tackle a what is called a graphghan in crochet, where you're actually crocheting a picture as an afghan.
That's cool. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right, that is definitely a thing. I've only done one, and it may be the only one I ever do. But the chart for the graphghan is just like a cross stitch chart.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, I really should pull my cross stitch out again. And so I did. And because of that, I decided to segue, into Flosstube.
Okay.
I'm really happy that I did.
Yeah, our community is absolutely amazing. I don't know what other crafty communities are like because I only cross stitch, but I love our stitching community.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah. All right. So the second question is actually a subscriber question, and they were just wondering if you had a blog.
I do have a blog.
Oh, awesome.
However, it is one of the most difficult things that I have keeping up with.
Oh, okay.
My blog is called Joy of Bliss.
Okay. I
really want to keep up with it. I have a link to it below my videos. And I want to keep up with that. Well, so
it's a lot of work, right?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
That's what a lot of people say, and that's why they say that they typically don't have a blog, is because Instagram and Flosstube are kind of like the replacements, I guess. But
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, we'll put a link down below this interview for the blog as well, because I know a lot of people are actually still looking to check out blogs. So we'll do that. So the next question is, how did you learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
Okay, I am a self-taught stitcher. And I actually did my first stitch approximately 45 years ago.
Wow. Things have changed as far as like charts and fabrics and everything.
It's really interesting because I've been stitching for 45 years off and on. But it's only within the past year or so that I started to gain all this new knowledge. So for all those years, I've been doing the same exact thing, you know. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that is, and it's kind of neat because I mean I've been stitching for, I would say, off and on a little over 20 years, and so I've noticed from when I first started, and I'm an Aida only stitcher, so the progression of buying Aida at like Joann's and all the craft stores, and then now all the beautiful hand-dyed fabrics, and it's just so much change.
Yes, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And I recently showed an issue of a Halloween issue of a magazine that I have from 2013. And as I was looking back through this magazine, I did notice, wow, they are calling for different fabrics and flosses. And it was totally lost on me at that time. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, a lot of different. So the next question is one of my favorites as well, and it's, what is the favorite project that you've stitched on so far?
Okay, I no longer own the project because I don't own practically anything that I've ever stitched. They've either been given away or sold at some point, but this is my favorite one that I've ever stitched. Can you see it?
Oh yeah, that's really pretty.
Now I cannot say that I fully stitched this yellow border. I think I only did part of it.
Okay.
But I can actually remember stitching this and loving it. And that is a Mary Englebright piece.
Oh, Mary Englebright is beautiful, beautiful charts.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I'm in love with her.
Yeah, I don't stitch a lot of the borders. Borders are very tedious. And now that there's all like the different kinds of fabrics, you can kind of just have the color of the fabric in the border.
Exactly.
So that kind of segues into, what do you enjoy most about stitching?
I love the fact, okay, I have an affection for tedious things. And so I enjoy the fact that it's, you know, you're making 1,000 teeny weeny stitches and it's just very calming and relaxing to me.
Yep, 100%. I could do it if I'm tired, because you can just do fill-in. You can do it, you know, if your mind is going 90 miles an hour. I love it. Love it so much. So what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
I thought about this a lot, and I don't have a favorite.
Oh, okay.
I do not have a favorite. I like a lot of variety. It would probably be easier for me to tell you what I don't like than to tell you what I do like. You know, I don't like I can't read, I choose not to read anything that deals with like espionage and the spy world. No, I can't deal with that. That does nothing for me. There are just, you know, certain things that I'm like, I'm not reading that. Yeah. But other than those very few things, I'll read anything.
Nice. That makes it easy to, you know, pick a book or pick a movie just to put on and have it in the background. So,
yep.
Nice. So what fictional place would you most like to go?
I would love to go to Pandora, which is the world from Avatar.
Yeah.
Gosh, I would love to be there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, because a lot of people say, like, you know, Harry Potter, you know, and go into all that kind of stuff, but Pandora would be so cool.
Oh, yes. I love it. And I am a huge Disney fan. And so there's a world in Disney World of Pandora. And oh my gosh, it's like the closest you can get to actually being there.
So you've been there? Because when I went
there, yes,
to Disney World, they were just building it. I think is the last time that I went. So I haven't got to go.
Oh, you have to go. You have to go. It's so wonderful.
That's funny, because that movie was just on the other night. My husband, whenever it's playing, you know, on one of the cable channels, my husband will put it on. So
yeah, same here. Same here.
Yeah, we love that. So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
Well, I hate to be repetitive, but any day in Disney World is a good day for me.
Yep.
Any day.
Yep. Yep. Any day, make it a week.
Right.
Or more.
Absolutely.
You kind of need that much time to get through everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But if someone were to say, we're going to go to Disney World today for a day, I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Done. So do you happen to have any other hobbies besides cross stitch?
Yes, I do crochet, as I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I work with polymer clay, which I'm kind of holding on the back burner for a minute. I have painted in the past, but I guess I won't really call that a hobby because I really just don't do that anymore. So it's mostly crochet.
I think my aunt crochets too, and she's made me some crocheted owls since I love owls. So I have it like on my little display. But I think crochet, I think I'd rather learn to crochet rather than knit, because I think crochet you can make a lot of different types of things, I guess, more so than knitting. So yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
And it's also extremely calming.
Yeah, I might have to learn. But I don't know. It's like one more rabbit hole.
One more rabbit hole.
I need that.
I know.
It's going to be very expensive and fill up the rest of my house.
Oh, yes.
So the next question is, another one of my favorites is, how would your friends describe you?
I think that my friends would say that I am honest. And I am a good listener, and I am loyal.
Those are amazing traits. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what they would say.
Nice.
Like, they don't ask me stuff if they don't want the real answer.
Well, that's good. That's good that you're honest and straightforward instead of like telling people what they want to hear, I guess. You tell them what they
I can't see how I'm helping you or being your friend if I'm gonna do that.
I love that because I do have a lot of friends that don't want to tell you how it is, and if you're gonna ask somebody's opinion, you want their opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So getting back to stitching, is how do you prefer to stitch? Do you use a hoop, a Q-snap, a light, that kind of stuff?
Okay, I have an light that I have near me at all times.
That's a must-have for me.
I recently this year ventured into Q-snaps.
Okay.
Because I knew I was tackling larger projects, and I really just wanted to see what that was all about. But very recently, I've gone back to hoops. I have these humongous projects, and I'm stitching them on hoops. It just seems to be much more comfortable for me.
Nice.
So, like my favorite size of hoop is a 6-inch hoop. But since my projects are getting bigger, I thought, okay, let me get an 8-inch hoop and see how that works. And so far, so good.
Yeah, I think because for me, it's Q-snaps, and 8-inch Q-snaps are my favorite. So I think 8-inch is kind of a good size for the projects. Mm-hmm. Do you use like the hoops that have the spring action, or do you just use the ones that you can twist at the top?
Just the twisty ones.
The twisty ones, yeah. Those are easy to get too, which is nice. So do you have a preferred fabric that you stitch on, or do you kind of stitch on everything?
Oh gosh, yes. For 45 years, I've only stitched on Aida. Awesome. One of the goals for myself this year was to venture out and try something else. I tried Lugana, and I am in love.
See, that's what I'm scared of.
Oh my gosh, I love this fabric so much. I actually have to stop myself from just buying random pieces of Lugana.
Wow. Wow. Do you have a stash, right? I think, did you talk about that?
I would not say that I do. Okay. I wouldn't say that I do.
Okay.
I definitely don't have a stash of fabric.
Okay.
So, and let me tell you, I am avoiding it. I am avoiding it so much.
Well, and see, that's my concern is because I have a stash, but my stash is Ada. So
Okay.
if I venture out, you know, I'm scared that because I have a crazy like fabric stash, and
Oh, wow.
I'm scared that I'm gonna fall in love with something else.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
then so I guess yeah. So, but that's really neat that you ventured out and tried something new and fell in love with it, though.
Yeah, I'm in love.
That's awesome. So where is your favorite place that you've traveled, and did you bring stitching along when you went? Disney.
Favorite place, Disney World.
Yep.
And no, I do not take stitching with me.
Yeah, there's probably not much time if you're trying to get to all the rides and then everything.
Yeah.
So when you go to Disney, do you plan out your route, or do you just kind of, I'm just curious now, we're going to segue a little bit.
I know.
But you just go and hit whatever.
I am the crazy planner lady.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely plan just about every step of the way. And it's only because, well, mainly because it bothers me when people go and they come back and they say, well, we didn't even get a chance to do anything. We couldn't even see anything. It was just horrible. And I'm like, because you didn't plan.
I think planning for Disney is smart though, because you can get passes to, get in line for the rides, and you can kind of, know what path you're going to take and to be able to hit everything. So planning is definitely a good thing for that.
Yeah.
So what can you not do without for stitching? Like your favorite go-to must-have?
I'm going to have to say, and it may be strange to some, but I have to have my little bobbins.
Oh.
I cannot, I see all the different ways that people control their floss.
Yep.
None of it makes sense to me. I'm like, it would drive me nuts. It would, to have the floss hanging. I can't get my head around it. So I will continue to wind on bobbins.
Well, yeah, because with how long you've been stitching, and even with me with 20 plus years, I think that's how I was told to do it is, and I'm not a big bobbin person. I just use the floss away bags and just shove them in, or have the fancy floss hanging. So I would probably drive you crazy because it's a mess.
I don't understand. Maybe we can talk one day because I don't get it.
Yeah, I think for me, I would rather be stitching, but like winding bobbins takes a lot of time for me. But some people like it because it's therapeutic and it's repetitive, and it's part of the process. So
okay, yeah. I think that's how I feel about it. I do not bobbinate.
Oh, okay.
No, before, is a word for everything, right?
Yep.
I don't bobbinate before I start the project. I kind of do it as I go along.
Oh, that's smart.
And all of that is just part of my process.
That's smart, because then I guess in a way it saves time. You work with one color and you wrap it up. And
so for instance, the piece that I was working on yesterday, I didn't know, okay, when are you going to stop? I wasn't tired or anything, but I found my stopping point because the next color I needed to bobbinate that. And I didn't feel like doing that.
Oh, so. I like that. Yeah. It's kind of like a process to let you know when you need to take a break.
Yeah.
So how do you decide on what you're going to work on next as far as projects go?
Well, when I first started Flosstube, we all had a really good laugh about the fact that I had 5 whips and I was sticking to it. So I had my whips listed on a piece of paper and I would just go from one to the next. Very simple. So I don't have 5 whips anymore. So I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? And so there's been a lot of talk about Tiny Decisions, the app.
Yep. That's what you
My whips are now in Tiny Decisions. That just took away all of that anxiety.
That's kind of nice. I've tried Tiny Decisions. For some reason, you know, if it tells me to do something, I'm like, I don't want to.
That's not what you want to do.
So I don't do so well with that.
Well, I thought about the possibility of that happening. But I have to say, I really love everything that I'm working on. Nice. So I'm still, so far, so good.
Nice. That's an easier way, I think, to do it, other than trying to take forever to pick which one's next, which is what I do.
Okay. And I don't use it every day.
Okay.
You know, so, you know, I'll try to stitch on something more than a day. And then kind of when I have a break in that, then I'll use the app.
So you can get a little bit of progress on it.
Yeah.
You know, before you move on to the next
because I'm a
one.
slow stitcher, so.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole process of it. So whether you're slow or you're fast, as long as you enjoy it, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, we're down to my favorite question, and it's the last question. Seems to be challenging for some, but it's, what is the best thing that has happened to you so far this year? I know it's a challenging one.
I totally, let me just put it out there, full disclosure. I totally considered writing to you and saying, can we not ask this question?
Yeah, I think some people have thought about that too.
Quite honestly. Okay, so I try to think outside of Flosstube and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, there's nothing.
Oh, really?
It's just been normal routine day to day, and then pandemic and lockdown, and
yep.
So there have been really nothing different has happened this year so far. Hopefully this is going to change.
Second half of the year, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And I struggled, and I know I'm not the only one, but I struggled with this question. I even keep a journal. So I said, well, maybe something happened and I forgot. Let me go look at my journal. I got nothing.
Well, maybe it's just the same routine, even though the pandemic and lockdown happened, that, you know, maybe you were able to keep kind of the same sort of routine or something like that, you know, because I know a lot of people, you know, either lost their jobs or, you know, really struggled with being at home. And that's kind of why I asked the question is, you know, there's got to be something. Yeah, right? Maybe it's just, you just maintain kind of the same routine and nothing huge that was great happened, but you're still healthy and still
nothing horrible either. Yep. So that's a plus.
Yep. Yes. There we go.
Yes, I'm still healthy. So that's definitely a plus.
Still upbeat and cheerful, and you bring us great videos, and people love you. So, so thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this interview.
You're so welcome.
And for being flexible, because we did have to switch it up a little bit for my schedule, but I'm glad we were able to work it out. And I just really appreciate you chatting with me. So.
Well, thank you, Becca. I think that you're doing a great service to the community by doing these interviews. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. They're a lot of fun, and I just want to bring happiness and you know, comfort to a lot of people. So I'm glad that everybody is enjoying the interviews, and that I can meet other people from all over, basically all over the world. So it's a lot of fun. So yeah. So thank you. And we'll say bye to everybody on Flosstube. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Flosstube.